If the Republicans had not told the media about their soft coup d'etat, I would not be able to confirm the coup d'etat, which I'm going to describe to you. I did not study political science. I studied business at FAU. I've been to 4 colleges for 16 years, 7 of those years full time. I work 4 jobs in government, including the city of Delray Beach. I have videos about that. I have videos about politics. I've done a lot of communication with Congress, Senate, House, and the world. Presently, we're in the Republican soft coup d'etat. Here it is. This is what the media put. It said the blueprint for a soft coup d'etat. Of course, we have the Project 225. And this is what they publicize. They admit that they're having a coup d'etat. Presumably, the African-American coup d'etat will become less vigorous because of the Republican coup d'etat. So this is an eternal coup d'etat. This was in 1799 with Napoleon in the court. Now here's what I'm experiencing. It's everywhere, even in a charity like Changing Lives. You have a director who is African-American pulling the strings, giving things to people like this guy and giving control. Here's the external coup d'etat, which I experienced when an African-American state trooper who is a Teamster, and my ex-husband, who is a Teamster, had flown up online. The African-American state trooper violated my Fourth Amendment rights. He was on both properties, damaged the kitchen, and he also damaged my car. And FBI is covering for them because I guess, well, the FBI covered for them. They said that they are investigating me. However, everything they want to know about me is on YouTube, starting when Americans came to my parents' house when I was 10. So this is what an external coup d'etat is, 1799 here. Now, October 16, 2024, an African-American replaced my trusted Jamaican banker at my credit union. Then 2 other gang members appear. An African-American appears in a black car in the parking lot, and an African-American state trooper appears in the parking lot. So that's the gang coming to the credit union to rob my Social Security retirement. So right now, my checking balance is 0 and my savings balance is 0. That's November 25, 2024. I contacted the president of the credit union. I was on the internet also, and I was also talking to the banking commission. So Monday, September 30, it was very intrusive. I called the food stamp office and the clerk said Norma left. Now, the political ramifications of a white person being pushed out of a municipal job after 37 years, and also me being pushed out of a municipal job, the same department. I have had 4 government jobs, but they couldn't know because the first 2 fell off my resume. But the second government job I had with the European Union was the one that clarified political science and public service. So I guess they're bragging. She couldn't control herself. I called her to the state and she's bragging about the white girl moving out. So this is very intrusive. It's impacting state and municipal. They are actually talking to each other, and the control is going from a state employee to a municipal employee who are African American. That's obviously power taken over by African Americans. It's obvious. So, August 8, 2023, I took my bachelor's degree off my resume, and I had been a supervisor in an industry, and I left the supervisory experience on my resume, and they called me in 2 days, all the way north. I decided to go all the way north because in Broward, I was impacted by this coup d'etat. But when I was all the way north, the first day, I'm working 7 to 12, and I work 1 to 6 online. I mean, they can scan you online and figure out what you're doing online too, but a young African-American says you are dirty inside of the place all the way north in Palm Beach, all the way north in Palm Beach County. Then I went across the street to the 7-Eleven, and the African American staff says to me, "You're very dirty." And that's all the way north. So they're calling each other. And then the third day, I'm only working 7 to 12 there and 1 to 6 or 9. The African American sheriff comes to the job and says, "You're very small." So they consider me small now that they pushed me out of government, and also they took my house and my condo, my car, etc. So then the fourth day, the African American housing staff from Delray comes up there. They all come in all the way up there. They're sending information. It's called blocking control, and they terminate me on that job up there. And I was going to work 1 to 6 online, which I do work online now. So you can see how intrusive this thing is. For me, even though Kamala Harris was vice president, you can see that I have no rights whatever. My human rights are being violated, but this isn't half of it. I have another video regarding the attacks and everything. So in China, they had a debate about conflict with the robots and said about 12 minutes, 23 minutes, it said that there's too much fighting over scarce resources and conflict. So that's why we put the robots in there. There'll be less conflict between people, because obviously the black people are having a coup d'etat, wrestling for power with the white people. They're pushing me out. They're pushing out the white people. And the solution is that robots would work. So Meghan Markle said, if you don't like something, tell the right people. You will help a lot of other people. And then she went to UN Women, and I've been in communication with UN Women also. But I really have to use YouTube, and I have to analyze everything that's happening. So because of my 10 years at FAU in the business school, while working for Walgreens, I know that we have acronyms. So the permission of Obama to become president, kill Osama, and then for the African Americans to get power or go complete a coup d'etat, that permission, I call it WAPA, which is the white permission. And then when they were calling all the way north in the county, 4 days, I call it Obama free phone, pre-conquest, bragging, nigger, gang stalking, bullying, OFNA. Then I'm in Boca, and I had a menial job in Winfield Plaza, which is owned by Mr. Batmazian Investments Limited. I was working there, a menial job, but I also work with Bitcoin. And the security guard at the Publix, he calls the police on me and says, I've been going to work for that place 2 years and go to McDonald's. So the African Americans have so much, they hate me so much that the security guard, I went outside the McDonald's after having my coffee, and the African Americans hate us so much. That's how intrusive the coup d'etat is, that even the security guard, but it got worse. I went to Panera Bread, and the lady said, you cannot use the Wi-Fi here. And then you say, you cannot sit here, but that Panera Bread is closed. But 2025, an African-American sheriff, a lady was robbing me, and he says, what you want out of this bag? I had a class action suit, and I bought a bag and a purse. And, this is something I just recently bought too. And they're trying to take everything away from me. However, he said, what do you want out of here? I said, my wallet and my passport. He gave me the wallet and passport and gave her my bag and my purse. That's the African-American sheriff. So you can see how bad this coup d'etat is. And then the African-American bus driver 2023, I work with Bitcoin, so I'm going to a movie all the way north, up like where I was working before. I like to get away from Boca and everything. And the bus driver makes a head signal to a thug, I guess in his gang. The guy follows me and steals my bag. And I went to the movie, and then was leaving the movie, and he stole my bag. But I had seen the bus driver make a head signal to him, so I took a picture of the bus driver. But before that, because I was pushed out of the city of Delray Beach, which I am really clarifying everything and headed to another court because of a head of a department at FAU, because of his advice. Truly, it's obvious. And I'm reaching out to other people who go through things like this because we do have an international court that provides that people have basic human rights. So 2015, since I was pushed out of the city of Delray Beach, I said, let me go to a Jamaican city since I did work for the government of Jamaica before, but they didn't know that it fell off my resume. They didn't know that I worked for the European Union. So anyway, so I go down to Broward County to get Lauderhill or Lauderdale Lakes, the Jamaican cities, right, to work there. And a police tries to frame me. But I want you to know that O.J. Simpson's wife's sister's not really having a discussion like I'm having about the paradigm or the series of events that happen when an African-American male devalues and degrades a woman and then kill her. They're not really talking about it, but I try to communicate with them through the foundation. But they framed Nicole Simpson with drugs. When the African-American state trooper was in my house, he just did damage to the kitchen, but he did not put drugs in my house. So how he tried to frame me, a different African-American police in Broward County now, while I was trying to get a Jamaican city, Lauderhill or Lauderdale Lakes, he leaves a car door open in my path. The car is open, it's a sports car, and the driver's door is open. So obviously, the police are talking to each other, the police gangs, and they know that they already ticketed my car, pushed me out of government, ticketed my car back to back, and after they ticket my car back to back, they're gonna frame me with this car right here. But I didn't fall for that, even though I'm under so much stress. So I would have had a charge called grand theft auto. Well, he got mad and sent a woman to put worms in my bed. So I went to the emergency room about that. So I've been talking to people about the change management, and they have to tell me any little thing if they think people are violating their Fourth Amendment rights going in their house or anything like that. Or if they're, COVID was a direct virus hit for everybody, but there's other hits like what they did to me. That's also bioterrorism. So this Black Power paradigm, the lust for personal and government power, led to me. They called me from Broward and said, we are the government. I applied for another job and they called me about the job and said, the African-American police said, we are the government. So obviously, they're saying, we are the government. When I worked for the European Union, they were moving money into credit unions and banks. And they do not wrestle for power or make a power statement, we are the government. So that's another sign too, the posture and the communication. Said, you applied for a job at such and such a city. I say, yes, I did, but I got hurt and I'm going back to Palm Beach County. He said, we are the government. So you see, this is your overthrow or your coup d'etat. So Napoleon had a coup d'etat, and we can look at some of the signs from it. About the Republicans did admit that they're having a soft coup d'etat. So 2014, the African-American state trooper tickets my Honda back-to-back and tows my Honda. But that was after violating my Fourth Amendment rights, and then tell the FBI he's investigating me. Well, everything they need to know about me since the Americans came to my parents' house in Jamaica when I was 10 years old is on YouTube. Thank you, YouTube, you are my best friend. So 2006, I had worked for the city of Delray Beach and Walgreens, and as my management major at FAU had a real estate class. And I also took the real estate class at Gold Coast because of a friend who was a broker. So I bought for sale by owner condominium, which felt like a hug. I closed on that 2014 for sale by owner, first time home buyer program. Then 2006, the developer in the city of Delray Beach talked to the attorney and got me this house. But they put a leak in the house there. So he knew, since he was the one got me the house, I don't know if he's involved in pushing me out of the job also, but he didn't know I started government at 17. But however, he must have known that the police was on the property. I don't know. It's messy though. So they bullied me out of my career with a good written evaluation, which I'm going to pull that written evaluation. And that lady who gave me the good written evaluation after 5 years did not know I had two other government jobs. Most importantly of all, working with the European Union, moving money. I feel like, well, I was doing the minutes, but they were moving money. I feel like I have good government experience, although I studied business at FAU. So this is how my interaction with Americans started. A big white man comes into the airport, comes to my parents' house in Jamaica, and my dad, who is a Cuban fighter, mechanic in the Royal Air Force, and a manager at Coca-Cola, tells him not to come here. Then they send a white lady with some magazines. And I start reading The Awake, and I had asked my mother a question, and The Awake was discussing that same question. So I started reading Awake and Watchtower, which The Awake to me was like Reader's Digest of the Bible. So then the Jackson 5 came into the airport, and I went there like 1 in the morning. They look so tired on the bench. It's not a very fancy airport. Well, they improved it now, but the Jackson 5 looks so human. But at the concert, I said Jehovah gave them such a gift, their music. So I became subjugated by the Jehovah's Witnesses program. But at the same time, I'm grounded in it. And I had a Jehovah's Witness talk to me less than a week ago. And, I said to her, I would not go into a Kingdom Hall because I celebrate 4th of July, birthday, and Christmas. I would not step into a Kingdom Hall while I do that. Because Jehovah's Witnesses don't have abortions. They don't celebrate birthday, Christmas, or 4th of July. So the outrageous thing is that Michael Jackson, when he did Thriller, he got a lot of money and bought Netherlands, but he had a press conference saying he's no longer a Jehovah's Witness. Most of the kids became Muslim. So I had to marry another Jehovah's Witness. I married another Jehovah's in 1981 who did not go to college, as Jehovah's Witnesses discouraged it, but he worked for Flower Pound Light. But first he worked for my family's bakery and drove the van. We got along pretty well because the Jehovah's Witness organization is a secret society. Unless you live it every day for 1 year, you won't really understand what happens. You have like 5 meetings a week. You have ways, codes of conduct. The magazines tell you every little part of your life, how to live, which is, I'm grounded in it, as I said, and it gives me a lot of endurance and discipline. The only thing is the secret life of Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, there's a Kingdom Hall right by FAU, and it's funny, the business school at FAU was expanded 10 times what it was before, and yet the business school does not know about the greatest business model in the world, the Jehovah's Witnesses organization, right here, right by their property. But the Kushners and the Trumps know about it because when Trump was president, they sold a $340 million property to the Kushners when Trump was president. So we were not allowed to go to divorce court and no judge to save my sons. And most importantly, I was not allowed visitation. We had a fight and he took the properties, both properties. Well, it was 3 units. Anyway, so the children were subjugated. My gifted son, who had been taken out of his gifted class at Hagen Ranch Elementary School, he had to wake up before school and take care of the dogs. And he and his brother had to clean for the second wife. So 2001, my sons are with me. This whole thing is just, any court will see how horrible this is. 2001, the brake line was cut, and then they proceeded to cut the kitchen plumbing of both properties. Now, this is my little tyke in Jamaica. This is my grandmother in Jamaica. My mother bought a house in front of the elementary school. She was married. My mother worked in government her whole life, retired and came back on contract and worked till she was 75 in government. She was very good. But my father was a Cuban fighter. So my mom focused on doing the best for the children. So she got a house in front of the elementary school so we could jump the fence. Now, I went through my 5 stages of grieving. I had therapists and I had a PhD psychologist provided to me free by FAU. But the thing is that my family sent me this picture, and it's a God moment because my son was safe. My little tyke was safe. Without any warning, if I had warning, I would have left him there. These are the 3 kids in Jamaica. 2 of these are gifted. One is a PhD in neurosurgery, and my son is dead. Now, I had a hard time processing why I had a different way of thinking all the time, different expectations. But they have an anthropology department at FAU, and I got everything I needed to know. I thought I didn't know where we fit, but I realized that we were interdependent society. So that's clear to me. I don't have to do any more research on that because we are interdependent because her mother worked in the court in New York and she went to a Catholic school for girls in Jamaica. Her mother worked for IBM in New York and she attended an Anglican co-ed school. And this one has a PhD and this one had 2 master's degrees. So they turned out really well. Now, this is the art of degrading and devaluing a woman. Now, Kanye West's wife is walking around like this nude and nobody arrests him. He's not punished. And this girl, her life is being really treated like a whore. Here she is having oral sex with him. Why are they letting this happen? I mean, any coup d'etat, does it have to include misogyny? Well, the art of degrading and devaluing a woman is symbolic in the facial mutilation of O.J. Simpson's wife. O.J. Simpson's wife had stab wounds in her back which killed her, but they added facial mutilation because that's a symbol, that's your identity, and they are normalizing misogyny. That's O.J. Simpson's wife. But first they had to put drugs in her house and say drugs were involved. Because it appears that the coup d'etat started from back then with O.J. Simpson's wife, where there was permission to kill her, to degrade her and then kill her. So her sisters still can't have a proper dialogue understanding what happened to help other women. Now, I didn't know she had 3 sisters, but I have 5 sisters. So, when they were on my 2 properties cutting up the plumbing, they could have planted jobs, but they didn't. But that is violating my 4th Amendment rights, but they said that it was, FBI covers it by saying they were investigating me. So we're going to go into an international court so everybody can investigate me, okay? So here's another facial mutilation, which is symbolic. You ruin a person's identity. It's another part of normalizing misogyny and the degradation of women. This is another kind of degrading because these men, when they put affection which should go to a woman with a robot, obviously is kind of demeaning to a woman, a little subtle. So the facts of what happened, the art of degrading a woman, and the toying with Donald Trump in the courts, and then the reversing of Roe versus Wade, all these reasons, they point to International Criminal Court. But fortunately for us, the International Criminal Court is being validated as the U.S. court becomes invalid by them being toying with Donald Trump and making Roe versus Wade, reversing Roe versus Wade. The United States court becomes invalid. It makes the International Criminal Court become more valid. And they have stepped up to the plate. On another video, I have pictures of the 2 judges handling the Philippines and handling Israel. And they're handling the Prime Minister of Israel. They're handling the drug problem in the Philippines. So the paradigm that we have seen really is copying another paradigm, which is the paradigm of the Holocaust, where over the years they actually were killing Jews and taking all their property. So The 57 years which I've experienced from the time Americans came to my parents' house in Jamaica have not really changed my culture, because my family is interdependent and we have different ways of thinking and we have different expectations. But it took 18 years to get over being bullied out of my government job. And it took 10 years to get over foreclosing both properties. I won't bore you with this poem. It's just a lot of anger. Or Elon Musk says we have to turn complex concepts into words. And the underlying principles, he said there are deep underlying principles. Well, I think the paradigm of the Holocaust is just like the paradigm which I'm experiencing. And so that's the underlying principle, that Trump's family were Nazis and they took wealth from Jews and brought it to America to build their empire. I also made a video called The Prey Code. And so they killed the Jews and took everything they have. When they took everything from the Jews, I call that peeling. When they take everything. So this is part of the coup d'etat in John Trump. I personally, because I'm grounded in the Jehovah's Witness world religion, I don't believe in violence. I think that's why I want to teach the model country some English, just the words they will need for the court. Now, I was wondering how Obama and the African Americans got permission. And I think because Obama killed Osama bin Laden, he was allowed to give Chase Bank a $12 billion TARP bailout. And of that $12 billion, he put in a lot of Obama free phone programs. But the African Americans seem to use these free phones not so much for work and family and friends, but for stalking. So Dick Cheney did say he has a permission structure. And then Liz Cheney was following Kamala Harris around a little bit, because all women and women with children are concerned about misogyny and the safety of their children. So when Dick Cheney admitted that there was a permission structure, I knew that the coup d'etat that the African Americans executed with Obama being president and pushing me and other whites out of government was permitted by the Republicans and others. So I had 4 government jobs. And so I see that in government you have public service, which I saw with the European Union. I saw wrestling for power with the African Americans pushing out the whites. And I saw the coup d'etat, internal and external. This is just a definition of coup d'etat. But because the United States has so much responsibility, being given trade, all trade being done in the US dollar, and the IMF, every infrastructure and project all over the world was done in US dollars. So everything that happens in the United States has global ramifications. But a paradigm, Donald Trump's grandfather, Frederick Trump, he was in Germany. He lived in Germany. In 1933, they started the Holocaust. Now, each year, when they killed Jews, they took a certain amount of wealth, money, possession, even rugs, because I saw videos of Jews complaining that they would even take rugs, artifacts and artwork, jewelry, everything. So that's just a chart of everything they took. So when Donald Trump's father was in Missouri with a whorehouse making money, he went back to Germany and got about $80 million out of the money seized from Jews and brought it to the United States to build the Trump empire. So you have a pattern here. What happened to the Jews? I call it a peel when they take everything away from you. When they take your health, well, these Jews are dead. But so that paradigm has been copied here in the African American coup d'etat. The public service, which I observed working with the European Union, was such good training for me because I had to take the minutes. So I was watching the European Union, the men in the meeting, and they're just handing over the money. They don't act like they own it. They don't talk in a high class way. They don't act pompous or anything. Then I experienced the wrestling for power when I worked for the state of Florida. And then I experienced the internal and external coup d'etat when I worked for the city of Delray Beach. But I'm still experiencing it because I just saw the internal African American coup d'etat in a charity, which is a tax shelter for a billionaire. So this is just a part of my resume with my government experience. Like I said, this is the volunteer part because I contacted the House, Senate, Congress, Senate, and the House about the For the People Act, that bill that did not pass. I also contacted them about a bill for cryptocurrency. But this is when I was with the city, this is the state, this is the European Union, and this is my summer jobs with the government of Jamaica. So I did study business at FAU, not political science or government administration, public administration. No. Thank you.